Well, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. We appreciate it. You are here today. Let's see here if we got Mike. We do. All right. It is, excuse me. I don't think I've done a morning report live, and maybe I should more often. It would save me a little work, actually, at the end of the process. My name again is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. I trust that you are well this fantastic, wonderful, glorious, amazing day. You can tell it's gorgeous, really gorgeous. Sun is shining brightly here in West Central Florida, and we are having a good morning. I haven't had any coffee yet. Trying to make sure that this is. I feel like I'm in the Penguin's lair in the Batman series. I just took my medicine, so I'm a little clump. My wife wants me to take my medicine, so I do. We are going to talk about the removal of Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House and all the kerfuffle and all the that we have seen, and basically how none of it matters. It just doesn't matter, not at all. And I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't matter. Kevin McCarthy tried to avoid a government shutdown. And what a lot of us have learned, that government shutdowns aren't really shutdowns. They don't really matter. When you're talking about what we're going to do is we're going to shut down all the non-essential parts of the federal government. When you've got a $33 trillion or whatever the deficit is, how in the hell do you even have something that you consider non-essential? That doesn't make, this thing is crooked, and that thing's getting on my nerves. Getting on my nerves, and it's still crooked. How do you even have a non-essential portion of your business when you owe 20-30 trillion dollars? I would imagine that at that point you got to be operating so close to the bone, man. You can smell the marrow coming out of the bone. That's how close you should be operating, and we are not. And we are not. There are those of you who will say, well, you can't operate government like a business. Well, you have to, or you won't have a government. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, that if you don't operate government, or especially aspects of government like a business, you won't have a government. You won't have a country. You won't have anything. So I worked in the public school system for 15 years, and I saw that. I saw that, people were saying you can't operate a school like a business. Well, if you don't operate certain parts of a school like a business, you won't have a school. Eventually, you just won't, because it just can't exist on air. The nation just can't exist on air. It can't. It can't exist on air and want to. So if you know that you're 21, 26, 20, 29, 30 trillion dollars in the hole, and you know that, then you have to operate like that. So this whole idea of a government shutdown is foolish to start with, because nothing really happens. I saw that Kevin McCarthy, when he was speaker, said he did this so the soldiers and their families would keep getting paid. And what you and I know is that they all, in every shutdown, supposed shutdown, soldiers get paid. You get your Social Security. All these things operate. The only thing that doesn't operate is the IRS. Okay. Long years ago, during a shutdown, I actually did a live from the closed IRS building. That was cool. Anyway, other than that, everything operates. And those people who are furloughed, it is inconvenient, no doubt, but they always get their back pay. So you know what? You haven't saved a nickel. The only reason that you don't have these shutdowns is for political and PR reasons. Because are show some sort of chaos that you can't govern. Well, the problem is that nobody's been able to govern because nobody will be the adult. No one will say, we can't afford that TV. You know, I use this analogy when I was running for county commission a lot. There are a lot of things that may be good ideas, but can't be done. Can't be done. I think a good idea is for me to have a 90-inch color television on my wall in my house. It's only one problem. Actually, there's a number of problems. At the time, I could not afford a 90-inch color television, or did I have a wall big enough to put it on, or a house big enough to actually be able to sit far enough back from it that you weren't right here, so you could enjoy it. It seemed like a good idea, but it wasn't something that I could put into practice or afford. I mean, if I bought the TV, I wouldn't be able to pay the electric bill, and thus wouldn't be able to use the television. So this whole idea is, yes, there are things that may be good ideas, but you can't afford. And so adults have to come to the fore and say, good idea, can't afford that right now. Like your parents did. Like some of y'all parents did. That's incredibly important. This is what has to happen when we start talking about shutdowns. And if so, this continuing resolution is literally kicking the can down to the next time. 45 days. 45 days. Wow. And then they'll be talking about it again, which tells me that nobody is interested in getting it solved, because getting it solved will be very, very painful. There'll be a lot of stuff that you just can't do anymore. Done. Can't do that. Can't do that anymore. Done. Can't do it. There ain't money for it. Sorry. There ain't money for it, and nobody wants to pay for it. So you can't do it. Pain, discomfort, and we grow up in a society where we don't want pain or discomfort. We don't, because whenever we have pain, we take a pill because we don't want the pain. Now a lot of times we won't even explore what the root cause is of the pain. We just don't want the pain, so we take a pill, and then before we know it, we have stage 4 cancer because we didn't take care of the root cause of the pain. Because it was scary. Because we just didn't want the pain. Shoot me up, doc. Can you give me a pill? No, we're going to do, just give me a pill. Let me go. I'm busy. I want this. I want to be able to do that. Right? Oh, this is a vitamin C, by the way. It's not some sort of narcotic. It's YouTube. This is just a vitamin C. Just vitamin C. The rest of my pills I just swallow in a bunch, except this is like a horse pill, vitamin C, and this is like a lozenge. Like, suck on this. It's like my dessert, like my reward for taking my medicine. So I just save that, enjoy that later. But because we don't want to do that, that's why we get what we get. McCarthy. So McCarthy, because he's afraid of how it would look and how the press, the leftist media narrative would happen, he decided that he would make a deal with, or get with, and make a deal with the Democrats. Well, there are a branch of Republicans who are like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And I guess what's funny is that what Kevin McCarthy learned is that the term bipartisan is BS, because he makes a deal with the Democrats to avoid the shutdown, right? And then hours later, there's this vote to pull him out, right, of the speaker chair. And you would think, because he's this bipartisan guy and he seems to be one of the good ones, you think that he would have built some rapport with the Democrats. They all vote to remove him. Yeah, he either learned or relearned a very, very hard lesson that politics is a blood sport, and he was never their friend. There was never any bipartisanship. Never. There wasn't any bipartisanship. The second they got a chance to get rid of him, they did. Because the leftist narrative is to say that the Republicans are in disarray and chaos, and we only get that when there's a disruption of the globalist leftist agenda. Then things are in chaos. The Summer of Love was not chaos. The Summer of Love were mostly peaceful protests. You remember where the CNN guys out in front of the used car lot, and saying that he's yelling that the protests are mostly peaceful, and there's fire going on behind them. People are running around. These have been mostly peaceful protests. It's awesome. It's awesome. Because it was a narrative that was more important than the reality, right? It's a shame. I would think that Kevin McCarthy would have learned that lesson, that he already knew, or maybe he was just trying to get kicked out so he wouldn't have to do it anymore, because it's got to suck. With the Republican primaries and Democrat primaries coming up, I don't think that most Republicans care. Most Republicans didn't want Kevin McCarthy as speaker anyway. This is why the title of this live, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I don't think that Democrats are going to, through the primaries and into the general election, think that Republicans can't run anything. Look at that. Look at the whole thing with the speaker. I think that there will be some candidates that bring that up. But I think that the rank and file Democrats out here, outside this window, they don't care about any of that stuff. That's all inside baseball stuff that they don't care about. It doesn't matter. Who they're replacing with, I don't know. Byron Donalds? Well, we tried that. Byron Donalds didn't do well in the election. I mean, they were, in their selection process, and there were 15 rounds. Democrats aren't going to agree with anybody from the Freedom Caucus. They're not. They're simply not going to agree with anybody from the Freedom Caucus. So you're not going to get MTG. You're not going to get Matt Gaetz. You're not going to get that Macy woman. You're not going to get any of those people. I don't know if you get a Jim Jordan. I don't know. We may be stuck with Patrick Henry as Speaker Pro Tem until the election until the election 2024, where there may be a change in power. So I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter for the running of the country. I saw a tweet from Mark Levin before we started here this morning, and he seems really angry at Matt Gaetz. He called him a POS, and not a point of sale system. A POS demagogue. Just hates the dude, which I thought was weird, because it seemed like forever Mark Levin was the go against the grain kick them all out, drain the swamp, blah 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 guy. He wasn't a Trump supporter. Now I think a lot of people who are commenting believe that he was a Trump supporter. No, and he never was. What he said was it didn't make it. In 2016, it didn't make any sense for Republicans or conservatives to bail out of this election and let Hillary Clinton be president. That wasn't the way through. Which doesn't mean that you are, a Trumper. Doesn't mean that at all. It means that, based on what you got, this is what you have to do. So he was never that. He was never that person. So, any case, for those of you who are concerned and worried that this move is going to hurt the Republican Party, and I hear that, like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. It is not. The sky is not falling. It is not. Because the sky is already fallen. The sky goes all the way to the ground. The sky goes all the way to the ground. It is not fallen. Falling is already fallen. There is no change. No change at all. Nothing will be different today than it was 2 days ago. Will be 44 days or 45, 43 days before we get to the next crisis. Maybe there'll be a government shutdown for Christmas. I don't know. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. Morning Report is production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.